Hello. Okay, I am excited because I figured out how to make this work. First, organizational moments here that every Monday at 2 o'clock Central European Time, which is 8 o'clock Eastern Time, I will be going live for Motivation Monday. What does that mean? That means that you can either ask me questions live here or send in your questions on my Instagram, The Spiritual Analyst, or you're welcome to email me, info@thepowerfulself.me. Basically, anything in regards to energetical and personal growth, any subconscious blocks, anything of that nature, spiritual journey, whatever it is that you need support with, that is what I'm here for. And I want to have that time to support you directly here. So on this note, I am really excited that I got this working. A day late, but nevertheless. Okay, so what I want to talk about today, the fear of missing out. This is partly what I addressed in my Instagram story, but I want to go deeper with this here. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, definitely do, because that's where I post every day, or rather have my story there every day that I share other what's coming up for friends or clients, or some aha moments that I do feel like my audience can use in their own experience and their own spiritual path or personal growth journey. So that's what that for. So make sure you follow me, The Spiritual Analyst, on Instagram. Now, what does it mean, the fear of missing out, right? And all of us have that because we're there wanting the very best versions of our life. But the reality is that that desire very often holds us back. It's just like wanting to, like, perfectionism, going for perfection. That's actually a huge block. Now, it absolutely has that light aspect. It's like, well, I want things to be done well and I want that quality. Absolutely. And it keeps many people stuck. That's the shadow aspect of it has to be so perfect. I can't release it, or I'm not ready. I'm not, for some reason, relationships are coming up like, well, I'm not ready until, XYZ. And we're there never actually reaching that because we're looking for that perfection. I'll be ready when, same as I'll be happy when. And that's one of those traps of the mind, because the reality is you're never going to get there. For the mind, for that inner critic, nothing will ever be good enough. There may be temporary releases that, well, I feel good for a little bit, but then in the end, it's never going to be good enough. And as I like to talk about it, it's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that grumpy is always part of the bunch. It's not going anywhere. It's not about trying to make him go away. It's about realizing that that is a part of you, and can we just love having that loving compassion towards it. So, fear of missing out. First of all, I would love to know whether this is something that you've struggled with, of, not making a decision because you're not sure whether you're going to regret it or not. An example, a man is dating two women that he absolutely is in love with, madly in love with, very happy with both of them. They have amazing qualities. However, he's also at that point where he wants to settle down. He wants that kind of level of intimacy that's only possible with one person, when you choose fully one person. But he can't decide because both of these women are fantastic in their own way. And he's afraid that if he lets one go, like, what if she's the one, right? So therefore, he's stuck in this place of analysis paralysis, not actually going through with either, like taking it to the next level with either of them, not having the desired level of intimacy. That's really the price that he's paying for it, because he's afraid to make the wrong choice. Another example is when you have, let's say, two work projects, or you're there going into, I actually just recently had a friend who's there, I don't know if I should move or if I should not move, like, should I sell my house? But then there's a lot of these extra expenses, and then finding a new place and so much work. But then I also don't really like the house, and I don't know what to do. And I just tell her, flip a coin. Just flip a coin. And that's a big decision that you would think, it's like, well, shouldn't you put some more thought into it, where you're going to live, and not leave it to a coin? Not when you're in that place of freeze, because whether it's something as, smaller, I would say, than a relationship, although that has, you're choosing your partner for life maybe, or something as a home, or maybe it's something very simple of just I don't know if I should start my own business, or I don't know if I should go with this project or this project in my current job. Pick any. Go with the list of the pros and cons, whatever your mind needs to get clarity. And if it's still that, like, I don't know, like I've analyzed all the things and I don't know, choose any. I'm sharing with you today 2 tips, one from the mind, which is choose any, flip a coin, do something, because when you're in that place of analysis paralysis, nothing will ever be good enough. And it's a lot better to just go in any freaking direction, understand that you messed up and change course. Now, you know, like this was definitely not it, and I'm not doing that anymore, rather than being in this analysis paralysis, not getting either of what you want, right? Because if you go the wrong way, you understand this was not the right way to go. Can we still course correct and go towards the right way? That will be more efficient than just staying in the freeze state. That is tip number 1 from the mind. Number 2, this one may be difficult for many people, because the truth is many of us are not connected to our intuition. Many of us, when we're going into connecting to the heart, what is my soul really calling me to? What does my heart want? The mind tends to scream and like yell a lot louder. So it's really difficult for many people to hear, well, is it coming from the heart and the soul, or is it coming from the mind? This is one that I have so many people asking, actually, in the fact that I remember speaking to a friend who was making this major life decision, and I guided this person into the state of just heart connection. Like that was their soul speaking. And I asked, what do you want? And this person said it so clearly. And that clarity only lasted a few seconds, because 10 seconds later, the mind went into, well, that's not realistic. I can't do that. And that's not. And all these why nots became louder. So that which authentically came through was deemed and labeled as irrelevant and useless, because the mind is there yelling louder. So if this is something that's completely new for you, if you haven't done it yet, this is really, I'm sorry, there's no really way to say this. It will be a trial and error. You have to learn to feel what feels good to you. And you do that by, ooh, this feels right for me. I'm going to follow this. Okay, that was not a good way to go. I suggest strongly to do this with small things like, what do I want to have for lunch today? Do I want to have this thing or that thing? Okay, at the end of the day, that made my stomach sick. That was not the way to go. Now I know what my intuition feels like and what my ego feels like. Start with little things, and then those big decisions will be easy as well. If you're used to listening to your intuition, but sometimes even the best intuitives, we still have this place of the mind is just louder, right? We don't know. Stop coming to the meditation. Do what really excites you. What do you really love? Begin by visualizing that which you really love. A memory that just brought you so much joy. Something that you know will raise your frequency. Maybe it's some things for self-care. Maybe just taking a really mindful shower. Maybe it's listening to music that you love. Maybe it's, I don't know, painting or doing music. Or I know for a lot of men it's like woodwork, and like some working with tools. That's when their mind is just not there and they can just be there with what they're working on. So whatever that is for you, just tune into that. Just let it go. Surrender the problem and set the intention that the answer will come to me, and I trust that. Again, this may be harder for some than others. And like I said, even those that have fantastic connection with their intuition, sometimes the fears do take over, and that's normal. Like I said, Grumpy is just part of the bunch. He's not going anywhere. So can you allow him to be there and just lovingly saying, I know what you're doing there. I see you. And that's okay, and you have the right to be here, but I'm not really listening to you. I'm not buying into your story. Just taking a deep breath into that. And one more thing that's coming up right now is actually the importance of loving yourself for having this analysis process, loving yourself when you're in that state of, I don't freaking know. Because a lot of the times what happens is we have that resistance, and then we're creating more resistance of, what's wrong with me? Why can't I decide? I would be so much happier if I just decided. And there's more of that I want to say self-abandonment and disconnection from self. Well, we actually want to do the opposite. We want to tune into that place of self-love, and it's okay, and I love you, and I can be patient with myself. And basically treating, whenever you have that doubt, it's that inner child. Treating that inner child as you would want a loving parent to treat you, right? Because you get to, it's really a lot of the inner work is about reparenting yourself. So, what is it that you need in those moments of absolute confusion? Do you need someone to yell at you even louder, saying, "What's wrong with you? Why are you being so stupid? You can't make up your mind?" Probably not. You want someone to say, "It's okay. You've got this. You can slow down and we can decide this. All is well. You don't have to figure it out now. Your whole life doesn't depend on it." So, we want some reassurance in those moments. And that's what you want to do with yourself. So, on this note, taking a deep breath in, and I want to recommend one more thing for you. One of the free resources that I have on my website, and there's going to be a link below in the recording in the description, is a heart connection practice. So it's actually when you click on it, you're going to receive all 3 practices when you choose one of them. So one of them is a heart connection. That's where you really get to ask, what is it that I truly want? And allowing that, because like I said, it's you can absolutely tune into that state and be like, oh my god, I have this clarity, and then the mind goes in, this isn't realistic, this is not okay, it's not practical, what will people think? Trust that. Can you trust that even if you may not be ready to fully follow it? Can you just trust that which comes through authentically for you? And it may be as simple as just writing it down, knowing that, like, okay, I'm listening to it fully, even though I don't have the courage to necessarily follow it, but at least I'm beginning to listen to my intuition, to my divine guidance, to however you want to personify. There's so many different ways. So, on this note, thank you for being here. Remember that on Mondays, Motivation Monday, I will be coming live every single week. 2 o'clock Central European time, and that's 8 o'clock Eastern time. And there will be recording, so send in your questions. And if you're not here, then I'll support you the best I can, and then you'll be able to catch the recording. And on this note, I'm wishing you such a powerful time of day wherever you're at.